بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا وبعد. Today is the first lesson of the Tajweed course, and we will be starting with the introduction of Tajweed, an overview of Tajweed, and an overview and introduction to the letters, analyzing the letters, and looking at the different locations and characteristics. So before we actually dwell into the sciences of Tajweed and starting with the rulings, it has to be said that Tajweed is one of the most, if not the most important science of Islam. It takes precedence to all other sciences. As the Imam of Tajweed al-Jazari says in his matan about Tajweed, إذ واجب عليهم محتم قبل الشروع أولا أن يعلموا مخارج الحروف والصفات ليلفظوا بأفصل اللغات. It is obligatory, wajib upon every single believer to learn the basics of Tajweed before shuru', before the other sciences. Why is this? Logically, every other science, it stems from the Quran. And if you don't have Tajweed, you can't even read the Quran properly. So how are you going to go into the other sciences? Therefore, Tajweed is the key to everything that comes after. Even simplifying and affecting one's Arabic, because you're learning how to pronounce the Arabic letters. So there are a lot of benefits in learning Tajweed. And as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَرَتِّلِ الْقُرْآنَ تَرْتِيلًا. The Quran is to be read with Tajweed. And the Sha'ir says, وَالْأَخْذُ بِالتَّجْوِيدِ حَتْمٌ لَازِمُ مَنْ لَمْ يُجَوِّدِ الْقُرْآنَ آثِمُ لِأَنَّهُ بِهِ الْإِلَهُ أَنْزَلَ وَهَكَذَا مِنْهُ إِلَيْنَا وَصَلَ. The grasp, the taking of Tajweed is lazim, is obligatory, you have to. مَنْ لَمْ يُجَوِّدِ الْقُرْآنَ آثِمُ. The one who does not apply Tajweed to Quran, he is a sinner. Athim. He is a sinner because you can't read the words of Allah and you can't be bothered to even learn how to read the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لِأَنَّهُ بِهِ الْإِلَهُ أَنْزَلَ. Because it is sent down by our Lord. وَهَكَذَا مِنْهُ إِلَيْنَا وَصَلَ. And the Tajweed rulings, the way it's supposed to be read, they're all divine. They're not rulings that come from the ulama or from some person, a qari. They're divine rulings that was sent down with the Quran. The Prophet ﷺ taught the Sahaba, and the chain of narrations come down all the way to us. And we have those chains now as well. So, Tajweed, a lot of ulama have given different sorts of definitions for Tajweed. Long definitions, complex ones even. But in a nutshell, Tajweed, pay attention, Tajweed is the divine rulings that help one read the Quran in its intended form. The rulings helping a person to read the Quran, the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the form it's intended for, in the way it was read by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is how important Tajweed is. Unfortunately, nowadays people are really into going to the other sciences like hadith and fiqh and the other sciences, and they don't pay attention to Tajweed. It's the wrong way around. If a child starts school, we wouldn't tell the child to start from university. That doesn't make sense. We would say start from A, B, C, D, E. Yes, you might like, it looks nice, the big books, you might want to read them, but you can't read them. You need A, B, C, D. So when we apply this mentality in the dunya affairs, then why can't we do the same in the akhirah affairs? And they are far greater in importance. A person is to focus solely on tajweed because this is wajib. Ilm is wajib also upon every single believer, not at the extent of becoming an alim. Not every single person can become an alim or a mujtahid. Yes, not every person can become a hafiz. But every single person are obliged to be able to at least read the Quran. Why is this Quran there? Why do we have the Quran? It's a message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if we don't even try to learn it, it's an insult to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. After every single thing He has given us, we can't even be bothered to read His book. So it's very, very important to go through the theories of tajweed and practice again and again, like we would do in any field, whether worldly or for the hereafter. Theory with practice. Not one or the other, both of them. You learn the rulings of tajweed and then you slowly apply to the Quran until you can perfect the recitation of the Quran, the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's the overview of tajweed itself. Now the course that we're going to go through, it's going to take from now until just before Ramadan, which is just perfect because then we'll be able to practice and perfect to an extent our qira'ah of the Quran before the month of the Quran, before Ramadan. So this is the aim, this is the whole purpose of this course. Yeah? So a few important points with regards to the course itself. The course, the lessons are divided into two. So the beginning stage, we will be going through theory and rulings. If you want, you can note this down, just approximately, just to get a grasp and understanding of how the lessons will work. The lessons will be divided into two with theory and practice. And after one or two lessons, I will test the ones who are regular, the ones who come and take notes. So whatever I say of importance, I will note to it. At times I might not, but note it down, because after 1-2 lessons, you will be tested. After theory, I say, okay, now we're gonna have the test for previous lesson, this lesson, or only this lesson, depending on how much we cover in the lessons. So we're gonna have mini tests followed by intensive practicing and reading in the second half of every lesson. And the specific details of every lesson is written on the course plan itself. I'm not going to go through that, but it's going to cover the basics of tajweed. Not all of tajweed is going to be covered. The basics that are needed to read the Quran. Because tajweed is divided into two. We said before that tajweed is what? Tajweed is what? The ruling of tajweed. Learning tajweed upon every believer is wajib. But does that mean that the whole of tajweed is wajib upon everyone? Because it's like any other science of Islam, it's an ocean. It doesn't end. Subhanallah. It just goes and goes and goes. Tajweed is usually divided into two. Basic tajweed and deep tajweed, amiq tajweed. What we're referring to when we say wajib and mandatory is the basic tajweed. Basics of tajweed, those are the wajib upon everyone. The specifics and details, they are not wajib. They are fard kifaya. Only a certain people of the ummah learning them is sufficient. Like the student of knowledge, or the ulama, the huffaz, these kind of people, etc., etc. Yeah? So, Tajweed, compared to the other sciences, is the briefest compared to the other sciences of hadith, seerah, tafsir, every other science you can think of. Tajweed is the briefest, smallest. It is the only one that you can get a good grasp of without Arabic. Without Arabic, yeah? Pay attention. Without Arabic. So the other sciences, if you want to get a good grasp of the usul and then go on to mastering them, you need Arabic. There's no doubt about that. But in Tajweed, especially the basics, you don't need Arabic. Arabic, of course, is better. But if one doesn't know Arabic, then English will suffice. You will still be able to understand as long as you can read the Quran. Yes? So, the course will take all the way to Ramadan, and just before Ramadan, we have revision weeks, lessons, and then after that, we'll have an exam of every single thing that we did just before Ramadan starts, bi'idhnillah ta'ala. So, with the starting of this lesson, in the Arabic alphabet, so the Arabic alphabet, the harf hija'i, they are as written from alif to ya. This is not the order that was at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. This is when they simplified, when people were entering into Islam from the non-Arab especially, they simplified it and made it easier for people, especially adding the dots and the harakat, the fatha, kasra and dhammas. So the huruf of hija'i, they are alif, ba, ta, tha. This one is one of those ones that the people around Asia have a lot of difficulty pronouncing. Yeah, so I'll stop at a few of the letters, just pointing these things out, that it's important to focus on a few letters more than the others, depending on the language background of the individuals. So that's tha with the tongue out. So whenever you say tha, if your tongue is not sticking out, you're doing it wrong. So the one with three dots, the tongue is to be out. Yeah? Tongue is to be out. Jim, ha. Ha is pronounced from the throat. It's the throat letter. It's harf halqi. So it's pronounced from the throat. Ha. It's not ha. If you say ha, then that becomes this letter. Yeah? So, kha, dal, dhal. Same as tha, the tongue needs to be out. Dhal. Dhal. If you say zal and the tongue zal, most people do say zal. Za. See, when you say za, the tongue is hiding behind the teeth as you can't see the tongue. That means you're doing it wrong. When you see this letter, the tongue is out again. Dhal. Adh. Dha. Dhi. Dhu. Ra. Za. Sin. Shin. Sad. Dad. Ta. Dha. Dha again is another one that the tongue needs to be visible when you're pronouncing it. Dha. Dha. What's noted? What's the difference between dhal and dha? What's the apparent difference between them? Both have the tongue out, so what's the difference between the two? Dhal and dha.
Dha is heavy.
Dha is pronounced heavier. You can hear dhal and dha, and we'll come to the heavy and light letters just after this. Yeah? That's the difference between the two. Ayn, like the ha, is also a halqi letter. It's a halqi letter, and therefore is pronounced from the throat. Ghayn, fa, qaf, kaf, lam, mim, noon, waw, ha, hamza, ya. How many letters is that? 28. The the differences between the ulama in how they count the letters. Because they say that alif in itself is not pronounced. You never pronounce an alif. It's never pronounced. In the Quran, alif is always helping another letter to be pronounced. So you have babun. The alif is not pronounced, but it's helping the ba become longer. Whenever you see an alif pronounced, you always have the hamza. Yes, so the hamza is the actual one we pronounce. The alif is just there. That's why some ulama, they don't count alif and hamza. They count alif with the hamza. So they don't count this hamza. Yeah? Because they say alif, it's not really a letter that's pronounced. That's why they say that hamza hamza and alif is the same letter, not separate. But we'll count it separate. So it doesn't really matter, but it's just if one wants to note that down. Right. The letters are divided into two. There are two different types of letters that we have. So we'll write two types. Two types. They're divided into two. The first one, the heavy letters. Heavy letters. And then the second one, the light letters. The heavy letters and the light letters. Out of all those letters, 7 of them are heavy. The 7 heavy letters. Now, if we go through the alphabet, we don't even need to memorize it, so to speak. We can hear it clearly, the heavy from the light. If we start alif, ba, ta, tha. Any heavy letters? Jim, ha, kha. Any letters? Kha, yes. Kha, you can hear it, the difference. Jim, ha, kha. Jim, ha, kha. Dal, dhal, ra, zayn, sin, sheen. Any heavy letters? Dal, dhal, ra, zayn, sin, sheen. Ra is pronounced heavy, but it's not from the heavy letters. We'll talk about that afterwards. No, none of those. You can clearly hear it. Not just a bit, they become very heavy compared to the other ones. When you hear a big difference, then that's heavy, not just a bit. So, Sad, Bad, Ta, Va, Ain, Ghain. Which of them are heavy? This one? Bad is heavy, yes?
All of them?
No.
No.
Ghain is heavy.
Yeah.
Doi,
So.
da,
So.
Which one?
da, za,
Ta is heavy.
So.
za,
Va, tongue out. Va
da,
is heavy. Any more?
da.
Any more heavy letters? Sad. is heavy as well. Every one of them except Ain, that's why not all of them. Out of the rest, which one is heavy?
Qaf.
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 Fa, Qaf. Yeah. And that's your 7 heavy letters. But the ulama, alhamdulillah, they have combined these 7 into small phrases so that it's easier for us to memorize. And the phrase that they use for the heavy letters, they are خص ضغط قذ خص ضغط قذ. Yes. So that's how they've combined all the 7 letters. So you don't go through all the letters in your head every time someone asks what are the heavy letters. خص ضغط قذ. So now we have pulled out the heavy letters from the light letters. What is the ruling for these 7 letters? The ruling is that these 7 heavy letters are always heavy. They are always heavy. Why do I say this? Because it needs to be emphasized that these letters, even if they have kasra, zir, on them, they are still to be pronounced heavy. No matter how they occur in the Quran, there is not a single place where these letters come except that they're pronounced heavy. They can never be pronounced light. Never, ever. That's the ruling of these 7. Yeah? So we have, for example, وَقَالَ رَبُّكُمْ. Where are the heavy letters in that one? قاف. قاف. وَقَالَ رَبُّكُمْ. Any other heavy letter?
قال ربكم. Okay, not from this side.
See any others? No. No more heavy letters here. When we go through, when you see the words including small and heavy letters, it's very important to distinguish between them. On its own, it's easy to say these are heavy, yes, khalas, we pronounce them heavy. But in practice, it's harder than it looks when you combine them with the heavy letters. For example, you have the word كرما. كرما. You move back and forth because you have to distinguish between the two. Yes? So you have قَلَمَ قَلَمَ. You hear the difference? قَلَمَ. When you have the words with both of them, you have to distinguish between them. قَلَمَ. Yeah? You have like we said before, how's that read?
أخذ.
No.
أخذ.
No, look here, now there's a problem. Yeah? This one we said, what's the rule for this letter? This letter. I didn't see your tongue when you said that. Yeah.
أخذ.
Yeah. But now you say أخذ. So I can't hear the alif and the dal, they all sound jumbled up. So it's supposed to be أخذ. 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 The one in between is only heavy, the two not heavy. أخذ. And you see your tongue. أخذ. خا. خا. Make it O sound. أخذ. Yes. أخذ. Yeah, so that's why I said it's not as easy as it looks. Yeah? So when you put them inside the words, you're going to have light and heavy. You have to distinguish between them. You have, for example, صَلَبَ. صَلَبَ. You don't say salaba. It's صَلَبَ. صَلَبَ. Yeah, so the heavy first, and then the two light ones. Yeah?
صَلَبَ.
صَلَبَ. Yes.
صَلَبَ.
صَلَبَ. Now, what did we say was the ruling for these 7 heavy letters?
Always heavy.
They're always heavy. Now we come to the little matter of our ra. Yeah? So the ra, we said, it's pronounced heavy, but it's not from the heavy letters. Yes? We said that. The ra is, we can hear, it's heavy, but it's not from the heavy letters. Why do you think it's not from the heavy letters? It's not heavy.
Because it's very
That's what
smooth,
I'm-
you know, when you pronounce it.
Again?
It's very smooth when you pronounce it.
No. But maybe partially right, you should have completed with something. I was waiting for another thing after.
Sometimes heavy, sometimes light.
Yes.
Okay.
Sometimes it's heavy, sometimes it's light. So it doesn't qualify in this clue.
Okay.
Here we said they're always heavy. No matter how they occur in the Quran. Yeah? So the ra, the reason why it's not included is ra with ra with fatha, as in zar, and dhamma, pesh, is heavy. And ra with kasra, as in zir, is light. Ra with the kasra is light, and ra with fatha or dhamma is heavy. That's the reason why it can't be included in the heavy letters. because we said that these heavy letters, how are they pronounced when they have zir kasra? How are these pronounced? Light or heavy?
Is heavy.
Always heavy.
Always heavy. But the ra, no, it's pronounced heavy. You say you say rijal, ri. You don't say rijal. It's rijal. Yeah, rehab. You don't say rehab. Yeah, so the ra with the kasra is pronounced ri. But with the fatha or dhamma, there is ra. So with that one, the fatha and the dhamma, it's pronounced heavy. It's ra, ru, and ri. This is just the basic, the introductory to the ra rulings. The ra is very complicated. This is just the ra when it itself has the harakat. So harakat meaning either the fatha, kasra or dhamma. But when ra, for example, has sukoon, then it becomes much more complicated. So the ra rulings, we're not gonna, during the entire course, we're not gonna go through all the rulings because it's complex. It is quite difficult to get in the head. But the introductory to the ra is this. Just the three parts where you have fatha and dhamma means heavy, and kasra means light. One way to distinguish is kasra. It automatically reminds us of something light. It's light in its texture. So that's the way we can remember the ra with that kasra becomes light, because that kasra makes it light. And the other ones, the fatha and dhamma, the ra is heavy. That's why it can't be included in the heavy letters, because it's not heavy all the time. Other than this, the rest are what?
Light letter.
Light letters. Yes. The rest of the letters are all light. Yes? So, you can write that the rest are light. If I take away this one, no. If I say wal-asr, where is the heavy letter in wal-asr?
Ain.
It's the sad. No, why the ain is not heavy letter?
Okay.
The sad is the heavy letter. Innal insana lafi khusr. Where is the heavy letter?
Khay.
The kha. The kha is the heavy letter. Illa alladhina amanu. Any heavy letters? وعملوا الصالحات الصاد وتواصوا بالحق قاف وتواصوا صاد بالصبر again صاد. It's not that difficult. The only thing that you need to work on is memorizing this. Yeah? So this should be memorized. So when you're asked what are the heavy letters, you know خص ضغط قذ. Yeah, خص ضغط قذ. And what did we say the ruling was for these letters?
Always heavy.
Always heavy.
They are always heavy. Why is the rana included?
Because
Sometimes heavy, sometimes.
Sometimes heavy, sometimes light. So this one, the ruling is it should always be heavy. What about if I have a kasra underneath?
Same thing.
Same thing. The heavy letters are always pronounced heavy, no matter how they appear in the Quran. Yeah. So we'll leave it there because Salatul Isha, and after Isha, inshallah, we'll do the practical part.